Hey, Mystic Michaela, spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today, we are talking with Sarah Rice. She's a podcast host and a therapist, and she's also a 9-time contestant, 2-time winner on The Challenge, MTV's The Challenge. And we're going to talk with her today about women in competition, sensitive people in competition, and her overall experience being watched by so many people while making some cutthroat choices on television. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. Well, it's great to have her. She's actually back. This is her second time on KYA. She's in the green room right now. We haven't had anyone there in a while, but it's weird because she's just kind of shouting things out.
Oh.
I'm not sure what they mean, but I just heard her say lapse of judgment.
Oh.
I don't know. Do you know what that means? I'm not sure. Airdrop extraction?
Yeah, I think I have an idea.
Kind of. Under siege?
Yes.
I'm not sure. Out on a limb?
Right.
What is going on in this?
Yeah, if you're a fan of MTV's The Challenge, like, you know what we're talking about here. The fan base for MTV's The Challenge is huge. They are dedicated people. There are statistics. There's wikis. People study the strategy. People get really excited about the different contestants and the mashups, and a lot of people come back. But it's changed over the years. I used to be obsessed with it. Like when Sarah was on it,
yeah,
I was obsessed with it because they would take people she's from Real World Brooklyn. Okay. So they would take people from the real world and cast members from Road Rules, and they'd put them, mash them up and do all sorts of competitions. Now they take from a bigger pool of reality stars and whatnot, but it's changed. But there are people who study this show and are quite fans.
And I'm trying to remember back. This is going back. We're going back. I remember you were a fan of the Real World, right?
Yeah,
and did you watch
Road Rules.
And Road Rules?
Oh yeah, I was so into this, like in my 20s.
So you've always been into reality TV.
I always have,
like your whole entire existence.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been reality TV.
Yeah. Okay.
I watched a couple seasons of the Real World.
It was very real. Yeah. Like, this was before social media.
Right. This was before everything.
Okay. Like, they did all this before there was Facebook or even Facebook.
Anything.
Before there was MySpace, they were doing this. They were doing this before there was any reason to do it. And I remember, like, way back on the Real World, they would all join because they were like, well, you get opportunities. So every season they would set them up with some sort of a job that they'd all have to do. And it was a job that they all thought, okay, if I can just do this, then I could really make it in the industry, whatever it was. So sometimes they'd work with a radio station or a television production station or something like that. And that was always part of it. Not the very early season, but like the seasons after, I want to say the first or second one. But yeah, so that was their draw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say,
I got really excited about that.
Yeah, I remember you really loved that show.
I just got really, really excited.
Well, I also have to say, we're very lucky to have Sarah here today.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you why. All right. So a couple of days ago, I get this call.
Yeah.
Person calls me. He calls me up. He's like, hey, Scotty. I'm like, who is this?
Who was it?
He's like, this is Johnny Bananas.
What?
I'm like, Johnny? What? Who? Johnny Appleseed? Who are you? I don't know. Who's Johnny Bananas?
What?
I thought it was some sort of prank call, or I don't know what it was. But this is basically what he told me. He said, I heard you're having Sarah on the podcast, and I just want to let you.
Like, obsessed much, Johnny Bananas?
Yeah, seriously. Like, right? And, at first he was like, he kept saying like things like, I don't know if she should be allowed on. And I'm like, what do you, that's not your decision to make.
Yeah.
And then finally he actually convinced me that it was.
Okay.
And he's like, look.
All right.
Let's make this decision, me and you, Johnny Bananas and me, Scotty.
Okay.
If she's going to be allowed to be on the interview on KYA.
All right.
And he said, okay,
wow.
I will let her be on the show. I'm going to give her permission and half the prize money.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, I don't know what that means.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
He feels bad about it. He told me he felt bad about it.
So most of you have no idea what that was about. And,
no idea.
But if you watched, Sarah won her second time winning the challenge. She actually won it with this guy named Johnny Bananas. And then he had the option, because they were scored individually throughout the challenge, even though they won it together. He had the option at the very end, like, okay, do you want to split the prize money with Sarah or no? And he said no. And like
did they have like a pact that they were going to they probably had a pact that they were going to split it.
Well, it was just kind of like they got along so well the entire season. He just never got over like the challenge, another challenge, and I forget the details because it's fuzzy in my brain. But there was some other challenge, another season, and he felt she threw him under the bus or something.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, when I was a kid, I was always taught never trust anyone who has the last name of a fruit. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else was told that as a kid, but I was taught that as a kid. Like,
So right there, you would have known,
right?
Not to trust them,
exactly.
Yeah. So it's kind of, that was the last time she was on, and it was kind of just this. If you watch it, and you know what I'm talking about, or even if you just go Google that moment, holy cow!
You know what I would love to see? I mean, more than anything in the world, is you on the challenge.
Oh no. You wouldn't want to see that.
No, you'd be home the first day.
I don't like, and this is why I'm so fascinated to talk with Sarah today, because I hate competition.
Yes.
I hate it. I shut down.
Yeah, even our Christmas exchange. Yeah. Sometimes that gets a little too
much
competitive for you.
I know. It's so sad. It's true. I shut down in competition. I just want everyone to win.
Yes.
Like, everybody was complaining. Everyone gets a trophy. Like, that's me. Like, let's give everybody a trophy.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of the Mystic Michaela spiritual family members feel the same way. Mm-hmm. They don't like competition either. Yeah. When we do contests on the page sometimes. We have to write, we usually use soft language.
Yes.
It's not a competition.
It's not a competition.
Not a race.
Right.
No rush.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of our listeners feel the same way about challenges and competition that you do.
And on the other end of things, I think in our society, when you are competitive, usually like societal label that like a male trait instead of a female trait. So sometimes like competitive females get more crap sometimes than competitive males, or you have to do it in a very certain way. There's like a really big set of rules on and how you do things. And so that's why I'm fascinated to talk with Sarah, because she was in a competitive situation where you have to kind of, get to know people or get in people's heads or understand how people think. It's a little bit, people can go after you when you do it in different ways. Yeah. Oh. But what you're all going to want to do is we have on knowyouraura.com, we made a very special quiz for today's episode. It is the vibe test, the challenge vibe test. So you can go on, answer 10 questions. And what's going to happen is you are going to see which female challenge epic contestant you vibe with best. I did the auras of each one of them, and it was a really fun quiz to make.
I actually did this one.
You did?
Yes. I did not do the angel numbers quiz yet on there.
Right.
But I have done the challenge quiz.
Yeah.
I got Susie.
You got Susie?
I got Susie, yeah.
I made the quiz, and I took it anyways after, and I got Sarah.
You got Sarah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a lot of fun. All right.
At least I didn't get Johnny Bananas.
Well, it's all females, this quiz. But I want to do a male quiz if this is popular. All right. Let's talk to Sarah. Do certain scents just capture you? And when I say, what does summer smell like? Do you immediately think of something? Well, for me, Osea's Undaria Algae Body Oil smells like summer. It's a bottled summer smell with all natural, uplifting notes of mango, mandarin, grapefruit, lime, and cypress. I'm very picky about scents in body lotions and body oils, but this is an elevated one. It's not even just about the scent. This body oil is clinically proven to instantly improve your skin's elasticity and deeply moisturize. It leaves your skin silky and soft. You get that post-vacation glow, just like you came back from a tropical getaway. And right now, you can get 10% off your first order with our code KYA at OseaMalibu.com. If I had to choose, and this is the absolute truth, if I had to choose one product to bring with me if I was on a deserted island, it would be Undaria Algae Body Oil. This is Osea's #1 best-selling product for a reason. It makes my skin look and feel silky, soft, glowy. I feel confident wearing it. When I use Osea, I also never have to choose between my values and my best skin. They are vegan, clean, they're cruelty-free, they're climate neutral certified, and it is a woman-founded and led company and has made clean, clinically proven seaweed-infused skincare for over 28 years. It is not greasy at all. You put it on and your skin basically sucks it up and you become glowy. That is what happens with Undaria LJ body oil. And you can get healthy, glowing skin for the summer with clean vegan skin and body care from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code KYA at OseaMalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. Head to OSEAMalibu.com and use code KYA for 10% off. Hey, Mystic, Michaela, spiritual family. I am very excited to welcome Sarah Rice to the podcast today. Sarah Rice is a podcaster. You can find her as the co-host of the Brain Candy podcast, as well as the host of This Changes Everything. She's a therapist, and she's a total challenge legend. Sarah completed 9 total seasons. I think that's right. That's right?
Yeah.
Of MTV's The Challenge, and won twice. She is considered to be one of the most epic challenge competitors ever. Welcome, Sarah, or should I say welcome back?
Oh, yes. Welcome back. It's so good to see you. Thank you for that lovely intro.
Yeah. You were a guest when Know Your Aura was a little baby podcast.
Yeah.
You were one of our first people on. So thankful for you. Hey, do you remember your aura?
I sure do. Yellow and purple.
That's right. That's awesome. Yeah. So, with you, just looking at you and because I haven't talked to you in 4 years.
I know. And so much has changed. So much of my life has changed. Woo!
I know. That's a good thing though, right?
Yes.
Change is good.
Yes.
You're busy. You're like way busier than I think you were busy then, but now you've got 2, but you have 3 podcasts, don't you?
3 podcasts. Yeah.
That's
Then we have the
amazing.
spin-off one called Things We Got Wrong. It's so much stuff. And I just, love talking and love sharing with people and getting to interview and meet great people and connect and all that kind of stuff.
So for those who aren't familiar with the challenge, by the way, I was back when you were on it, like I guess I would call it the heyday. I don't know if other people would say that.
I would call it that too,
Okay.
but that's kind of like, you always think your senior class is like the best one. Oh, back in my day, my senior class, it's kind of like that, but I still think those were the good old days.
Obsessed. I was like obsessed, and that was before social media. That was before any of this stuff. But all right, for those who don't know, MTV's The Challenge. Like, could you just tell us what it is?
Oh, okay. So the challenge is kind of like the motley crew, I guess, of people who are on The Real World, and now they've since added other spin-off shows, or other different reality shows they pull from. But people who are on The Real World or Road Rules, competing against each other for grand prize, cash prize, in crazy places around the world, and doing wild things. Like I've jumped off of 60-story buildings and skydiving and like swimming in water with snakes and just all the weirdest stuff. I didn't do that one, but other people did. But
I was going to ask you, like what would you revisit of the whole experience? And what would you you don't need to do it again?
Yeah. Well, my favorites, what I always loved were the puzzles. I loved anything where we could do puzzles or memorizing anything, because those are my skills. So I love anything that had to be like memorize this set of numbers and for a long time and like do other work while you're trying to keep this in your mind. I'm like, that is what I am the best at. In fact, I try to get rid of the stuff in my brain and I can't. So this is like the
so
one
funny.
time I get to use that skill for good. And those are great. And the ones that I absolutely hate are anything that requires head-to-head, like you have to run into somebody. There was one that we did that was called Riot Gear, where we were all standing on a platform with like a mud kind of moat around us, and we had batons and those plastic shields, and I'm like, this is so violent, and I hate everything about this, and I don't want to hurt somebody else. So I did one of those classic, like somebody runs towards you and you just move out of the way and they fall, and I just did that, and then like non-violently got myself far enough to qualify, and then just jumped off because I'm like, I don't want to get hit.
That's why I feel like that's why it's such a good show, that they would it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, but like that's one of them. The stuff they made you guys do, especially back in the day, like looking back, and it is like,
it's wild.
What are these people doing?
One of the craziest ones that I can't even believe, they would never allow this today. And I can't believe nobody got more injured. But they had us get inside tractor tires and then rolled us down a hill into an uneven terrain, not like a hill that had been plowed or like made it even. It's like maybe you'll hit a rock. So many people you watch that tire, and it went spinning fast, and that tire would fly up and then come slamming down. Oh my God. It was.
Did they have
thank
medics?
God. Yes, they had medics.
That's good.
But they're like the off-duty ambulance drivers who are like, have one button done on their shirt by the end of, because they're always in some like tropical place, and just like every challenge, like one more button gets unbuttoned. And by the last day, they're like practically topless and hanging out.
Dying. I'm dying.
With their tummies all out, just like kicking their fingers.
Wait, what year? Because the challenge started in '98. Am I right about that? And then it's still going on. But your years were.
I was 2008 to 2015. Oh
my God! Wow.
Yeah.
So so much has changed since then. Just like, and maybe even just thinking, hey, what does this look like to the general public? Like that kind of thing. The fan base of the challenge is so involved, they're very right, like you would know better than I would. Because I used to be in it, and I don't know, life, right? And then also I liked that they took the real world people and the road rules people. That was like my jam. I like that
because that's why people love them, because they got to know, and why people become so. Obsessed is like too harsh of a word. Like they're too passionate about the players, because they're people that when you watch their stories, you can really relate to. There's somebody who's like, oh my gosh, that's me, or I've been through something like that. At least that's what I feel like with anybody who, comes up and says hi to me. Like people who I go to like the meet and greets and talk to people, they're always so relatable, and I feel connected to them, and they feel the same back as like watching me.
Yeah.
So I think because they got that opportunity to see me in very vulnerable moments, you kind of grow that closeness that's very different than what you would have with, say, a character from a TV show that's a script written by somebody else. It's not like the real person. You couldn't write a lot of the scripts with the stories that people on this show have.
That's a good point. The vulnerability that you guys all had and still do on the show, like the stories and people. It's a bravery that I don't see in a lot of other shows, I think. But the fan base is like, how do you deal with that? How do you deal? Because you're a therapist too. How do you deal with how people perceive you from watching on television? They're like, hey, why'd you do that? Like, how does that work?
I find that especially when it comes to my work as a therapist, like. I make it all about my clients, so they very quickly forget. And I've usually sometimes I'll have one session at the end they'll say, hey, can I just ask you a question about this? But that's one time they'll do that, and then they just kind of forget. And so it's never really been a thing that's come up. So, and I feel like I got an edit that was authentic to me. I mean, there were some of course moments that are cringy for me to watch, and things that I do I'm like, oh God, why'd I say that? Like, we all have made mistakes, but I think overall it shows kind of like who I am, that sometimes people think, can she really be like that? Is she really this optimistic and happy and positive? But I'm like that. So
I love that. Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela is sponsored by BetterHelp. This time of year has been very busy, and I find myself having these repetitive, anxiety-driven, cyclical thoughts. It really is something that I just need to get off my chest. We all carry around different stressors, big and small. When we keep them bottled up, it can begin to affect us negatively. Therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever's weighing you down. I have benefited from therapy my entire life. Sessions from years ago have given me skills and coping mechanisms I use to this day. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's convenient. It's flexible. It's suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire and you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time. No additional charge. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/KYA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/KYA. I think with you, just bringing it back to the aura thing, how I see people, you're a professional person, and you can kindly compartmentalize, I feel like, how you are. So I wonder if that made competition a little bit, not easier, but maybe you utilized that a bit.
100%.
Like, I can like you and compete with you. Like, they're two different things.
100%. And I think this is something that kind of maybe people were in a way critical of, because they said, how could she do those kind of things? Like when I decided to vote in, not like throw them under the bus, but vote into an elimination, somebody who is eligible for an elimination, and following the rules of the game in order to better myself. Like, I had no problem doing that, because logically I understand, I could separate, like, we're playing a game, right? We all have the same objective. Get to the end and try to win the most money. All right, so I'm going to do that, and you can do that over there. That's what I thought we were all doing here. And so I have a brain that can get very pragmatic and like, I don't know, logical about
like strategic
that.
Like, you know, and also level with, like, be honest about it. But I always see that with yellow purples, like straight shooters, you know, I'm gonna do this, you know, and you can say, do it back to me, and it's all fair, this is what we're here for. And I'm a terrible liar, so that also like, so not good at it, maybe because I have ADHD and I can't remember what I said, I keep them up, so I just go, I watch myself on the show do a lot of lying through omission. Like, I will never, ever say, but I'll say things like, what would make you think I would vote that way? Okay.
I am so careful with my words.
I didn't lie. I just asked you what would, you know, I didn't say I did or didn't. Right. I'm just saying, what would make you think that? Yeah.
Do you think I would ever do something like that? That's all.
Answer it for yourself.
Answer it for yourself. And then people would be like, but I'm like, nope. Run the tapes. Run the tape back.
Yeah. That's
guaranteed. Trust me. It is the thing in relationships where, like, partners have been like, yeah, but I didn't mean. I'm like, yeah, but these are the words. Tell me how that is heard. Okay, fair. Yeah, you're right.
I always say about yellows. Yellows get the receipts, like the rollback footage. Yeah, like that is a big thing with yellows. That's why I've said this on the podcast a lot. I'm always friends with yellows. So I always say, because you don't have to guess. There's no guesswork. It's very much, is this what it is? And that's what I said. But it keeps you personally responsible in a relationship too. Oh, wait, I better pay attention to this, because this is what I am actually saying, you know, like out loud and hearing. And not accusing somebody. Hey, does that, in your life, has that helped you with gaslighting?
Ooh, I think here's the problem, is that I assume everybody else is a straight shooter like me. Yeah. And I happen to be a narcissist, like, target. I am the victim of narcissists so often. Yeah. Because I just go, they of course they're being generous. And I take people at their word, because I'm a straight shooter. So I believe that everybody else is going to be a straight shooter. And so I think I fall victim to that more often.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, me too. And I feel like one other thing, and tell me what you think, like, you know, your medical opinion on this or your professional opinion on this. When you can feel someone's inside intention, like the part of them that's good, you know, it's hard. It's hard.
And that's all I can see. And sometimes I ignore the parts that are not good. And that, oh my God, that is me. That is, I was just having a conversation with a relationship expert, and I just went through a breakup, and she was just saying, that is going to be your lesson to learn. That you have to be a little more, like, picky of, nope, you can't just see the good all the time.
Yeah.
It's the double, or it's like the flip side of the coin. Like the positive side is, oh my gosh, she sees the good in everything. And then it's like, oh, she sees the good in everything.
Yeah. No, it's hard because then it's like easy to make excuses for things.
Yes.
And like also
it's okay.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, he didn't mean it that way.
Right.
He meant it that way. Or his mom was this, so he like it's really easy to do
and
that.
I'm a therapist, so I can like rationalize and justify all of their behaviors. Right. Yep.
Right. All right. Well, we're all with you here listening, I think. And all your podcast, like everybody relates to this, but it makes us feel so lonely while we're doing it. That's why. So you back on, like, when you were on the challenge, how does being sensitive like you are, how do you handle that in such a high stress? Wait, how long is filming?
Oh my God.
How many months is
like
it?
3 months. Like there was one, I think the longest, not that long. The longest one I did was 66 days.
Oh my God.
The real world was like more like 3 or 4 months, but the longest challenge I did was the one where we went to Argentina. Can't remember. I think that was the last one I did, Rivals 2, and that was 66 days long, and it was, so long.
I mean, are people like losing their hair or having
they lose
stress?
it.
Yeah.
They lose it right about, it's like about the halfway point, you see people start to break. And I've said this so many times when I'm on that show. What they really want to say is, I'm so sad that things aren't in my control, and I really miss my home, and I really miss my loved ones, and I just want to cry, and I just want to hug my mom, and I just want to pet my cat and be with my friends. And they can't say that because they don't have the words, and it's not the environment where you can show any kind of weakness or express any kind of those things. So instead, it comes out as, fuck you sat on my bed.
That's so funny. And that's like all this stuff in the house. That was always like, everybody lived for that stuff.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it's
like,
just people are so
this.
stressed. Right. And it's not them. That's just their stress talking. They're just trying to get it out. Wow.
Right.
It's so concentrated. I wonder how much in our own lives we relate to that, but we don't see it that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's you know what it is? When I'm talking to clients, I say it's like stubbing your toe on a bad day. Like, have you had those days where you're like, everything's going wrong, or, oh my God, you get like the belt loop caught in the door, and it's just like, I will murder everyone!
That is so true. Or if you're me, you just start crying.
Yeah. Burst into tears. And but if it's a good day, I'm just like, oh, silly me. Oh, look at that. Or like, oh, just stub my toe, keep on walking. But
so
on
funny.
those days so we all can relate to that, because I think the thing that maybe is we kind of maybe forget on there and makes it harder to understand that watching it is it looks like paradise. It looks like you're in this beautiful place and everybody's lounging around, and so it looks so nice. So you forget as a viewer that, oh my God, these people are in this pressure cooker situation, and maybe that house isn't as nice as it looks like on TV, because often the toilets will be broken.
Ew.
Or like one time they painted, I was so mad about this. One time they painted this is Rivals 2. One time they painted the deck too close to when we were in Thailand, too close to when we were arriving, and it didn't dry in time. So all of us ruined our bathing suits and there was little pieces of black floating on the top of the pool the whole time. You go sit on the edge and you're just like, oh my God, that ruined. And you don't see that. You don't see all that stuff. And so that is the part. And then I think that would help us maybe on the show to remember, like, okay, look at this nice place you were in. Look at this vacation in a way that we get, yes, this is stressful, but can I take a step back and realize this isn't for forever? And, these people are not the people I'm going to be stuck living with, and this is blah, blah, blah. The finish line is in sight. Can I take a deep breath and be grateful for, but then maybe we would be able to make it through. That's how I was able to make it through a lot of these.
It is summer, which means two things. I'm getting really busy in life, and my hair is getting super frizzy. And I am just too busy to be frizzy, you guys. So if you're like me, you need to grab Ouai's new anti-frizz cream. It's a lightweight cream that provides immediate frizz control that lasts up to 72 hours. I have tried this myself in the heat and humidity of South Florida. And let me tell you, it is quite convenient. It is easy and it works. Also, I like to style my hair with heat a lot, and preventing heat damage is really important to me. Well, guess what? The anti-frizz cream helps to prevent heat damage as well, up to 450 degrees. It also helps reduce and repair split ends while quenching dry hair with intense hydration. 90% of participants in a consumer perception study agreed that their hair looks less frizzy, and I wasn't part of that study, but I agree with it too. A pump or two of Ouai's new anti-frizz cream is all you need to get going, and wet or dry hair, I'll use it with or without styling. It definitely allows me to move my day along without that frizzy look that I'm not fond of. So frizz free up your schedule with Ouai. Go to theouai, TheOuai.com, and enter promo code AURA for 15% off any product. That's TheOuai.com, promo code AURA. Well, you're the one to listen to because, like, you made it to a lot of, how many, wait, didn't you make it to a 5 final? How many finals?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And then you won twice, so.
And the two or three times I was on, I only left because my partners were disqualified.
Right.
Because they did something like quit or sexually assault another member of the cast. So what the hell?
And then you had that one partner who just completely screwed you over at the end. How do you deal when, you know, you have your faith in people and then that's like, I don't have control here. Like, I know I don't have control. How do you deal with that after? Like the voices in the head and the, you know, like the,
I think, so Trishelle was my partner who quit on me. And I woke up the next morning and they were like, Trishelle's gone. And guess what? You're out of here too.
Oh.
I was so, like, looking back, she made the best decision for her. They were not giving her the medical attention she needed for a cut that she had on her foot. This was the same season with the crappy pool deck. And she's walking around the crappy pool deck that's not painted well with this huge gash on her foot from stepping on broken glass on the pool deck.
Oh my
and
God.
she's like, I need medical care for this. And I can't, this is not going to be good for me here. And so when I got kicked off, they wanted to keep me around just in case something happened. So I got a 2-week paid vacation in Thailand.
Hey.
And I was like cruising around. I rented a motor scooter, like little scooter the whole time. I'm cruising around. I drove by one day and these guys from the crew were like, hey, who's that gal? And they realized who it was. They're like, oh shit, that's Sarah. Oh my God. I can't believe we were just I was like, were you guys going to hit on me?
That is so funny.
And they're like, okay.
That made it easier, I guess.
Yeah, yes. And they're like, okay, but whatever you do not get in a car accident. Do not get in an accident on that motorcycle. We are trusting you because we cannot explain that if you have to come back and, like, your face is all messed up or something. So and then I stayed, like, the whole time just hanging out in Thailand at the, like, crew hotel. Hello.
Well, that's pretty good. Okay, so that would make it a little bit better.
That made it great. And then the one with Vinny where we were out at a dance club. And this gal Mandy was wearing a shirt that was like a halter top that were like 2 strips of fabric just like covering her chest. And he thought it would be funny to pull them open and be like, woo, peekaboo, fucking assault.
Yeah. And
so he was kicked off that. And all I really wanted to do was lecture that guy.
Yeah.
And could you imagine the partner, me, the victims, the advocate and the speaker.
Yes.
Who tours and talks about sexual assault, awareness, prevention, all that. And now he's stuck in not in the same room, but now he's stuck on the bus ride, on the plane home. He's got to hear.
Oh, you traveled back with him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and I gave him 48 hours of my mind.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, he got his. Like, in my mind, I was like, he's hearing everything I have to say. And I said, how much money did you lose me? That's how much time that's how much I'm going to get worth of me lecturing to you right now. So he never came back.
He never came back. Yeah, well, I would assume he's not welcome after that.
Right.
Like, after that situation.
You can't do that. So those two, that's a wash. And then there were only really 2 challenges that I ever got, I think, eliminated from.
Yeah, like, so in this pressure cooker situation, you used all these coping strategies.
Yeah.
Do you use them in life now?
Oh, yeah. This is the thing I want people to, I say this to my clients, I say this to the listeners of the podcast. It is daily. It is so like, oh gosh, here I am pumping myself up. In the same way, before every single challenge I did, I would have to tell myself, I would always be nervous and I would always be scared, but I know that your body can't really differentiate between the feeling of nervous and scared and excited. It's really just the labels that our mind puts on it. Because if I told you to describe what does being excited feel like, and then I said, what does being nervous feel like? You described the exact same physiological feeling. So I would walk around before every challenge being like, yes, let's do this. We're so excited. I'm so pumped. And like almost overly enthusiastic because I was tricking my own brain into not being scared. And so everybody's like, wow, she's so excited. Nope, I am so scared. And I just have to trick myself into doing that. And so I apply that exact same thing to my daily life. And I go, all right, gonna be a good day. Let's motherfucking get this one going. Let's put on some little jams to pump ourselves up. Let's like do a little, whatever it is. You know, I gotta like find all these tools to just like, because life is hard.
I needed to hear that because.
Oh, good.
I really did. Because I get everything you just described, that was like an aha light bulb moment for me. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like, let's just pretend that's excitement. Because like you said, it's really the same body feeling.
Same. You're going to have a racing heart, sweaty palms, kind of stick your stomach. Maybe you're going to get dry mouth.
Yeah.
That's excitement. That's enthusiasm. That's like I'm nervous for a first date versus I'm nervous like, oh no, how will I pay my rent? Like, you know, let's not make it those kind of nerves over something we are just like being a person in the world.
That's really helpful. That's good, like structured information.
I use all these tricks.
I'm using that. That was like that like rattled me because I'm like, oh, that's really good. And I already thought of like 8 different things this week I'm going to use that for. So thank you. Yeah. All right. Women and competition. We have to talk about. Okay.
Ooh.
Before we get into that.
Yeah.
We made a vibe test for the challenge. And guess who I got when I took it?
Oh, who?
You.
Oh, guess who I got when I took it?
Who?
Also me.
I love that.
So I know that's a very accurate test.
Yeah. And
I love that.
That is so funny that we both got you and you got you. I mean, I made it and I also got you. It was a surprise though. I was like, all right, it was all done. It's so funny. My husband took it. He got Susie. I thought that was
I like that. Well, look at that. And Susie and I are best friends and you guys are married. That's a perfect combo.
I didn't think of that. That's so cool.
Because I bet if different people take it, and then you could look at your results and be like, ooh, did these 2 people get along in the house? Like, are these 2 people like friends or not friends or frenemies? Like, see what your friends are? I love this.
That is such
I'm going to have my mom
idea.
take it and be like, who's my mom going to get?
Like, which one are you?
I know. Watch you get someone who, like, doesn't like me. That would be terrible.
Well, I stalked you for the test a little bit. I'm like, who does Sarah know? Like, who does she have relationships with? Because, like, Cara Maria, you competed with her, didn't you?
Yes, I do love her.
Yeah, because she's red purple. She's straight shooter too, right?
Yeah.
Like you?
Yeah.
I like her. And then what about Devin Simone?
She, here's the thing. I always thought that we were friends, but from what I've heard out there, because again, I'm the straight shooter. I'm like, we're just going to call it how it is. And then I have not been seen. I do not think that she is one who's too fond of me.
That's funny.
But I give everybody the benefit of the doubt.
Because didn't you guys live together in Real World Brooklyn?
Yes.
Yeah. It's so funny because I see yellow purple on her too, but she's like way more purple.
It all came down to, I feel like she liked to try to get under my skin or try to, there was like an interview that has since been cut and deleted. We did this like challenge for Universal Studios right before the pandemic, and then they scrapped it. But she like came out with all these gotcha questions about my divorce. And I was like, nobody cares about this. This isn't what I came here to do. I'm here to talk about the challenge, where am I now, all that, but not talk about why I got divorced and like bring up stuff from that. And I wasn't going to say any of those kind of things.
Cool.
And yeah, and I thought, and then she like went off script with that, and I thought that was kind of unprofessional. So that was what
that would hurt my feelings.
Had, it hurt my feelings. And I was like, I would never do that to somebody. So
No,
that's usually it. I'm like usually more shocked when people, because it's even hard for me to say, oh, I don't like this person, because I could always find like the good qualities in them, the things that I do like. But when I find that there's somebody where I'm like, no, that's just not a person who holds the same values as me or is vibing with me, it's always because of a specific reason. Like it's always, and I love, one of the things Susie and I would say is like, and here's why. Like, this is my opinion, and here's why. And I always have, like, the receipts and the fact, like, this didn't come from nowhere. This came from X, Y, and Z. And these times where I, asked for help or needed help, and, it was like, well, tough luck. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is somebody who I can't rely on as a friend, or somebody who is not willing to do the same that I am for them. And so that's fine. No problem. Moving on. We don't all need to be friends with everybody.
Yeah. Some people like to... I don't know, like the psyching out thing. I wonder if some people, that's part of their personality off the game a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe that's like, I don't know, or that interview style, or I don't know, whatever. So.
No, whatever. Yeah. That's funny though. But those were the only two people. Because I was going through the list, and I'm like, all right, we got. Oh, and you competed with Susie too, right?
Of course.
I love that.
We did one season together, and she beat me. So
I remember when she was on. That's so funny.
And I was and she was so funny. She said, because she was the only female left on her team, and she's like, okay, Sarah, and we were like best friends right off the bat. Like we knew we were like, now it's been however many years.
Friends.
I know, 2008. What year is it? It's been like 16 years, something like more than that. Like we're still going strong.
Yeah, 16 years, yeah.
And Johnny was like, it's just a show, man. So they'll never last. I'm like, she's like my longest relationship. So it has lasted and then some. But she said to me before that final, she's like, okay, I'm just going to throw it. I'm just going to sit down at the starting line, and you could win, and then we'll split the money, and it'll be great. And I said, no, I have to win fairly, and I wouldn't be able to win like that. Now, if she were to ask me, I'm like, yeah, girl, let's do that shit. I would have no great. I would be like, oh, this is how you play the game. But I had no idea then and I was just like, let's be fair. And so
I think that's cute. I love it. You just knew it was
and then she won.
Well, you won anyways because you won each other as friends.
Yes, we did.
Podcast
yes. And I did get my personal bank account, which was like $20,000, so that was not bad either.
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, at least you need something after all that trauma.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Something. I'm going through my closet and I realize, wow, it is time to get it ready for summer. But what to do? I do not like shopping. I get overwhelmed. I'm very busy. I will use Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix sends styles so good you can feel it. They deliver all the confidence that comes from a truly amazing outfit without any of the work. You get a stylist. Okay, and you can be very specific with this stylist. I am extremely specific with my stylist, and they listen to me word for word. My stylist really does help me take my wardrobe to the next level. She knows what works for me. Sometimes even better than I do myself. Actually, all the time, she knows this. She helps me discover new things about my style. It's like my stylish best friend is shopping for me. That's exactly what it's like. And Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. I get outfits that make me look and feel really good. I don't have to shop. If all you do is you give your stylist your size, your style, your budget preferences. I order boxes whenever I want to, and when I want to, there is no subscription and no subscription required. And she sends 5 just for me pieces plus outfit recommendations and some pro styling tips. And I keep what I love and I stem back the rest. That's how easy it is. It is style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/KYA. That's stitchfix.com/KYA, stitchfix.com/KYA. Okay, back to women in competition. All right, because, I mean, women in life are obviously looked at differently. There's a different set of rules. We talk about that a lot, I'm sure, in your podcast, on mine. What's it like as a competitor, like going in there and you're competing against guys too? do you sense the different set of rules? Do you sense that?
Absolutely. There's right away, there's this attitude from the guys of like, oh, we got this. We'll take charge. Like, we're going to be the team captains kind of thing. And I was like, no. And the season where I was partners with Jordan, where we won, I took the reins. And I'm like, no, we will not be. And Jordan, I swear, my brother's name is Jordan, and my younger brother. And there was something about having a partner who had the same name as my little brother that then made me feel like I could boss this guy around. I know how to control him. I could say his name with that perfect Jordan.
Like, you're very familiar with that name.
Yeah, I have practiced saying that name and like Jordan, get over here. Like,
yeah, and he was like, okay, like
yeah, and he just like knew, like he and there was one time where he was like, I think we're like, we should, I don't know, go with a different plan or whatever. And I kind of gave him a little because he was pissing people off.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jordan, you are rubbing people the wrong way. And there's one way to do this, and this is not how it goes. And do you want to win this thing or do you not? And I lectured him, again, look at me, just lecturing all the male partners that I have out there. I'm like, sit down. I'm talking to you, and you are going to listen. And he did. And he was like, and I said, you are not being well received. People are not liking you. Do you want to stay in this house? And then he was like, okay, you're right. I'm like, you are fucking up our social game. And then he got it, and then we ended up winning. So, but that did not work well with some of the other partners who were more like, no, let's do things my way. Vinny was one of those, and Johnny was good at listening to me on the challenges, but then with decisions in the game, of course, he wanted to play his way. So there's this feeling of like, it's not even like you have to prove yourself. It's just you're automatically like sanctioned to the ranking of less than and like the followers and not the leaders.
Yeah, like the nurturer, the second hand. Yeah. Right. And then it's almost like you have to do more work or exert more energy to just be yourself.
And then you're like damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, like if you play emotionally in the game, like, oh, you're using your emotions. And if you play logically, they're like, oh, I can't believe she's being like so cowardly, or not cowardly, callous and ruthless. It's like, what do you want from me? Because Johnny's definitely yelled at me for like playing with my heart or emotions, and then when I didn't do that, he yelled at me for that. So I'm like, you can't win with any of these guys.
They're just going to criticize you.
I think the women should always just band together, and I think they should always do everything they can to help each other win. And because like, and this isn't like boo, boys are awful thing. No, it's that they've been coming in there and saying, ooh, girls are awful for so long.
I know.
I'm just trying to make it equal over here.
I have a teenager, and a big thing to say is like, oh, don't be a pick-me girl. Like, that's a big, have you heard that one?
No, I haven't. Can you tell me what that is?
So a pick-me girl is somebody that like, you're like one of the boys or whatever. Like, oh, hey, I love football. I like football. I want to play football with you guys. You guys, it's so, like that. Which,
yes.
So a girl might be like actually into, right. Like, but you weren't a pick-me girl. You were like into it. But other girls can say, oh, she's being a pick-me girl because the boys are paying attention to you now. So it's a way for females to kind of bother each other about just being into something different than the girl stuff. No, because even the girls will go after you, be like, oh my god, she's a pick-me girl. When maybe they like to throw the ball around, or they are into the game, or like whatever, and they're like getting the attention from the guys in a different way. So you are damned if you do, if you don't. Not just with the guys, with the girls too.
Yes,
that's like a big thing.
It's hard. It's hard to be, and then there's this feeling of like, your worth is somehow your looks or your body. And I mean, I felt that it wasn't until the season I was on with Johnny, and in that season I was wearing shorts in the photo, but they would always stick me in the back, and they would put the girls in the bikinis in the front. And I just know they would be like, I would go and position myself in the front, and then they'd be like, no, can we have you move? And I'm like, I am the last season's champion. And you're like, can you go stand behind that chair over there? And like, it really felt like that. I know it. I just know it. And I would be like, oh, let's do this fun little test. And then sure enough, the test would come back and like, okay, yep, they are doing that. All right.
Wow. How does, and piggybacking off of that, how does just being on these shows color your perception of people in general or the world? Because it can get dark, like, in there. Yeah,
I think that the show is, like, the lowest common denominator, right? Like, I feel like the show is not, I'm much more hopeful and optimistic about the future and people when I talk to them outside of the show, or even just outside the show about the show. But when I'm on the show, it can feel like, oh my God, we have just gone back in time 1,000 years.
Right.
And now it's like cavemen. We're like cavemen. And like, this is, obviously that's more than 1,000 years. I do know how those timelines did not line up.
I didn't even stop. I was like, it. Yeah, 1,000 years ago, cavemen, totally.
I do understand that, but just like, go with me. We're riffing here.
Oh, I was, yeah.
Yeah, but that is like that kind of behavior. Just like, this is Neanderthal shit.
Yeah.
And so I think that I have to like remind myself, like I've always said, it's like backwards world. Like Susie and I say, it's like opposite world in there. Like everything that I go in there with like a book and a crossword puzzle, and they're like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Read? Oh, just your nerd." And you're like, "Correct, because I'm in grad school getting a master's. Right. What are you doing?" Like, and then they're somehow like teasing you about that. Like, this is cuckoo crazy.
Funny though, yeah.
So,
do you get people? Oh my gosh, because. I had on the winner of Survivor, I forget what season, Erica, and she won, and we talked about this a little bit, but I bet it applies here. Like, do you get critique from viewers, like how you played the game strategically?
Yeah, I mostly get critique about the choice to put vote Johnny in.
Okay, they're stuck on that.
And they are so
yeah, I know.
Stuck on and it's crazy because like I'm not. I'm like, we can all let this go. It is all good. And most of the people who will talk to me about it will say that will be on my side and will be like, yeah, that was like that. Obviously, that was good strategic move. Or I wish that I had more opportunity. I wish that they showed more of the political and strategic stuff that I did on there, because a lot of it went on because that wasn't really my character on there. It was more to be like the nice girl who's going to like make the carnival games and, you know, like literally sing Kumbaya kind of shit. And you know what? Everybody loved it. I don't care what they say.
I loved it.
I made it really fun to pass the time. But I don't think they had me as like, oh, she's good. She's like the strategic one who's plotting. I was doing that right and left with every single person in the house. And then like, if people really knew the amount of times I like went back on things and like not even, or just like I said, that lying through omission, but like, what? Why would I do that? You know, and like did things that were just riding the line of like, and then nobody ever knew, because that's if you're playing the game well. This is like the first time I've ever said that out loud. But
I love that.
Nobody ever really knew because it didn't look like that, and I just kind of made other people be the.
That's smart. That's some smarts. Like the psychological game in it.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like a lot of people underestimate that. Like they think they can go in and just be buff or whatever.
Well, people say, I've been asked on other podcasts, like, what do you think is your best, I don't know, like not strategy, but what do you call like attribute?
Like your strength?
Like strength. Yeah, what's your strength that you bring?
Yeah.
Like what is
like
your
puzzles,
superpower or whatever? Yeah.
Right.
And I couldn't think of a word but strength, and I'm like, well, it's not strength, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what that.
And I would always say my degree in psychology.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, like that.
Damn.
Like I went to school to learn how people think and how people make the decisions that they make and why they do that and what kind of things motivate people and how to make change over time.
It's like a huge study I just joined.
Master
the challenge. Yeah.
And so that would be, I think, my biggest tool. And
or they call it like the professional curtain or something. You know, like you can.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it? I don't know.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good, right?
Yeah. I bet that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, because yeah, I was gonna ask you like just like with the psychological game, how hard was that to navigate? But you seem like you were the one kind of doing it, so it was fine.
It was.
And what's it like to be seen? Like, do after the game's over, like after all this is over, do they ever come up to you and they're like, "Hey, why'd you do that?" Or that hurt my? Do they ever? Do you guys have leveling with each other moments when it's all done?
You know what? That's a good question.
That would be healthy,
and I,
like a debriefing.
I wish sometimes like with Trishelle, I did afterwards of like, yeah, you were so smart for leaving. That is such a good, like, we leveled with each other. Then Naya, she like ripped me apart and was so cruel and did so much bullying on one of the seasons I was on when Jordan was my partner. And she called me and she apologized and she like she was so kind. And this was like years later, and it felt, and nobody knew about it. She didn't make it public. She didn't say like, "Oh, I just went on," and like she didn't post about it. It was just genuine, and like I watched that back, and I felt really embarrassed, and I can't believe I said these things that you said, and you did not deserve that. And I was like, "Thank you so much. I forgive you, and I understand the situation we were in, and you didn't want to say those things either, and blah blah blah." And so, people, I think I've seen examples of that, and people have been understanding, and yeah, I think people generally to my face are pretty kind and loving. And
do you get
fool me once? So
yeah. Well, you seem like you're real forgiving, anyways.
The most.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like with you, if people just come to you and show, but I feel like grudges. That's a good one because you're, as a therapist, you must get a lot of people who have like I don't know what
can let go.
Yeah, but a lot of people probably like come to you and they're like, I can't let this go. How
Correct.
That's a great how do you let something go? What are your tips for that?
Okay, I think so. I think about everything as like data and like very, like you said, like logically, like let's put this out. So I was just talking about this today actually with a client. If I were to take your day and like make a calendar almost of your day, or like a timeline of your day, and like each minute a little box for each minute, and then maybe let's pick like the color red for like thinking about that person who like screwed you over, and I colored in each minute of your day that you spent consumed with that.
Yeah.
And then I tell you about all the other things that you could possibly be thinking about and doing out there in the world. And this is your time. You get to choose.
Yeah.
We are not in control of how other people treat us. We are not in control of what other people say. But we absolutely are in control of how much time we allow that other person to occupy in our brain. And it's not something where you can just say, well, I'd like to not color that square red. You have to instead say, I want to color that square blue. And you think about that blue thing, and you think about that thing that brings you joy, or you think about all the good stuff. This is where I do so much like gratitude practice, and I have like a little app, and every day it reminds me, ooh, write down one little nice thing, and I write those things. I do that shit all day, every day. And so you have to balance it out. And that's the best advice I have, to kind of think about, this is your time. If like, is there like a music genre that you absolutely hate? I don't know.
Me?
Fucking polka. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, polka.
So what if I replaced every one of those minutes that you were thinking about that with that thing that you absolutely hate? Wouldn't you be like, oh my God, turn the station. I need to think of let's put on some new music, shall we? And you are choosing to listen to that same soundtrack that you don't like, so change the station.
Damn, that's so good. Yeah. I think so, but right there, I think that's the hardest thing. Like, what else what's the other color?
That's why you have to, and you can't just say, I don't want to think about this, because that's like, don't think about pink elephants. Good luck with that. So, what's everybody think about? So instead we think about like blue monkeys or something, and then we do the replacement. It has to be a replacement. It has to be something that you can swap out. And so instead of thinking about that, and that's why gratitude work, it's proven. We know this with studies over and over. And if you don't, I encourage my clients to not believe me in this. Great. Think that I'm full of shit. Try it. Prove me wrong. Go ahead and practice this for 6 weeks and just write down 3 things that you are grateful for at the beginning of your day. And everybody's picking up their phone at both of those times anyway. Just throw those 2 things on your to-do list and tell me that your stress level hasn't gone down.
Yeah. That helps a lot.
And that you haven't gotten some of that, like, time that was before colored red, colored different. Because then your brain, and it takes, what's the time? It's either somewhere between 15 and 21 seconds. Like, you can't just think of it for a second, because then it'll just go back. I kind of imagine, like train tracks, when the train is on one track and then they got to switch it, and they, like, I don't know, old timey, like had to like pull a lever, and the train like takes some time and the track like moves. You can't just like boop, pull the lever for 1 second and then the track is going to switch. You have to like hold it there, and then like the whole time the train is going over, you like hold the lever there and like redirect it. And I kind of think about that with my thoughts of like, nope, because it's going to want to go back to that negative, like, oh, woe's me, I'm like, can't forgive this person for whatever. So you have to like hold that thought there. Let's think about all the good. Let's think about how, and it's like little things like, whatever. Like, I tidied up my desk.
Yeah.
It could be, I took the trash out.
Right. My dog, like anything like that.
I took my dog for a walk. Yeah.
Right.
Like, I got up today. I stood up for 10 seconds.
It's true. It's true.
It doesn't even matter what it is. And that, because your brain is going to go, oh, you say that positive? Well, then that's positive. Let's think positive things. And you just have to hold it there. Oh, I stood up for 10 seconds. Well, what does that do? Oh, well, it was really nice. It helped me like stretch my body. And I did feel like it was like, I was telling myself I was going to sit there and watch Netflix all day. And so standing up for like 10 seconds, that was more than I wanted to. Positive. We've held it there for 20 seconds. It'll color the rest of your thoughts for the rest of that, like, time differently too.
It's a vibrational shift too, I think. And when you're not in that vibration of like grudge holding or anger or just like replaying thoughts or drama or like whatever it is that maybe was safer to you for whatever reason, it takes time to get used to thinking about higher vibration things. And it can feel really funny, I think, for a long time.
Look, I get goosebumps.
Oh, yeah, right? I know. And it can feel really weird. And my kids make fun of me because, like, I'll go outside and be like, oh, it's so beautiful out. It's so nice.
That's what I'm
like, oh, it smells so good. It smells so good. And my kids are like, Ma, oh my, they roll their eyes, but
listen,
I got to the point.
Doing all that same thing. They're going to do it all later.
Right.
Because I used to do the same damn thing. And don't you know?
Now that's you.
I am doing every single thing.
Yeah. Like, I'm out there, I'm like smelling things.
Yes.
And I think like if you're not used to it, you're like, wow, that's joy. I'm like, yeah, that's it. I've gotten it down to this tiny thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I love
that's
that.
good though, because I feel like that's something that a lot of us get used to thinking, but why were they mean to me? Or why can't we? Or why? And also when you're feeling other people's feelings and you have like residual codependency issues or something like that, you're like, oh my gosh, like is there something wrong with me, or do I have to fix it? Or
you're creating a story.
Yes.
Can't create you can change the story. Create a different one.
Yeah.
This is the thing, is like, creative thinkers are so good at being anxious worriers, because you're so, like, it's the same muscle. It's like, you thought of a bunch of great ideas. You think about, like, your brain doesn't know the difference. It's just like, oh, let's just think about a lot of stuff. Let's just think about all these possible outcomes. You get to decide what is productive thinking and what is unproductive thinking. So it's just like harnessing that same tool and saying, like, and for the people who are the thinkers who like spend a lot of time worrying, I love what you said. We're turning this into a therapy session, whether you like it or not. Here we go.
Love it.
I love what you said about, I go outside and I smell something and I go, oh, isn't this beautiful? Because what you're doing is you're bringing it into the body, into the physical world where you can ground yourself, and that'll keep you out of your head. If you're in your head, then you think from your neck down. Feel. Yeah. Head people aren't feeling. So you got to feel, and then you'll get out of your head, because you can't do both at the same time.
Yes. Whoa. I got chills now.
Good.
That's such a great way to think about it. Creative thinkers can have this problem.
Yes, because it's the same thing. And then if you get stuck, the best way to start is humming, because your brain can't think of other thoughts while you're humming or singing.
I do that when I'm driving and I get nervous. I'll start humming.
Because you're like trying to distract. Yes, that's good. It's a good coping skill to have.
I thought I was crazy, but that's good.
Pause this listening right now, and you try to hum and then have anxious thoughts at the same time, and your brain will be like, I can't do that.
That's so funny. I'm not crazy. I'm coping.
Yeah, you're coping
with bad drivers. Okay, yes. That's great. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's like regulating our vagus nerve, all this great stuff. Hum.
Funny.
Hum more.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely love that. Sarah, where can we find you? Where can we all come find you and listen to more of your wisdom? Because your yellow structure has set it up for us, and your purple intuitiveness just gets it before we do. So
I love it.
Tell us.
Well, you can find me on Instagram, social media. I'm Sarah Rice, letter I, letter M, and I think it's the same on all of them. But check out my podcast. Listen to This Changes Everything. That's the therapy-themed podcast where I have guests and answer listener questions. You can call into our voicemail if you have a question. And I bring the same sort of, little fun facts and brainy kind of therapy help, I guess.
You absolutely do. It's
and
both your podcasts are really fun.
The Brain Candy podcast, of course, we're doing that for years, and it's so great. We have a wonderful community called the Brainiacs. We host a monthly book club / documentary club where we read a book and watch a documentary, and you could do both or neither. And then we just hang out and chit chat and have fun and all connect, and it's just like the best community of women and people, because men too, and just the best guys, and so it's wonderful. I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us today and telling us all your challenge secrets. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be on this side of the podcast for a change and just get to chit chat and share with you. You're such a doll.
Oh, well, this podcast is for you and about you, and I'm so glad you all spent some time with us today. Take care. Hello, podcast fans. If you're looking for a new podcast, if you enjoy articles, books, pop culture, and hilarity, try listening to the Brain Candy Podcast.
That's right. The Brain Candy Podcast has over 500 episodes of educational hilarity to satiate your learning needs. Just search for the Brain Candy Podcast on your podcast app or click the link in the show notes.